Today I have a list of the top 10 best gaming processors in 2018, and now it's not just clock speed I've factored into this, I've factored in a wide range of things. First of all, how new the processor is, the clock speed's amount of cores, longevity, because multi-threaded applications, especially games now, are really starting to get popular. I mean, for crying out loud, Minecraft, the most worstly optimized, maybe PUBG, worstly optimized game, has finally decided to actually get in gear and actually do more than one core. So my point being is I factored in multiple things that I think really gives this list value, and of course it gives in I've included all the price specs in here as well. Hopefully that'll be included in this video. I'll be listing them off and of course explaining why I chose each one for each position. So starting off, 8700K, you can't deny it. It is the best. It is the king. But keep in mind, yes, Intel holds the top two spots on this list, but AMD actually has a lot of mid-range options that I feel like there's good value in, so stay tuned for all the options in this video. So the 8700K, it's basically, 3.7 gigahertz base, 4.7 gigahertz turbo. It is the best, overclocking 5.2 on a good day, and you're looking at something like that for 340 bucks. Unbeatable. So, that's the top. But next up, I chose the 7700K. Now you're going, well, hey, that doesn't have a lot of cores, and yes, it has the high clock speed, and that's why I've chosen it. Because if you're really prioritizing gaming, that's why I got put on top. Now, there's lots of ways you could organize these, but I'm really solely basing this off of just gaming. If you wanted, gaming and doing YouTube or gaming and doing that'll be other videos I'll make, because that's a whole different list, and I'm not going to spend this video which is dedicated to gaming doing that. You can check those videos out. So next up on the list, I have AMD's lineup. Now let me also say something about that 7700K. It's 310 bucks. If you're going to go for the 8700K, it's only 30 bucks more. Like, you can fork that out. So first off, let's talk about these AMD processors. So AMD processors come with a cooler. And the cooler is accurate and powerful enough to cool a processor. AMD's actually done a really good job with these. So that kind of, you get a little bit more value in there. I'm just saying, there's a little bit more option. LED coolers, especially with the 2700X, is pretty cool. And I know it doesn't help gaming, but I personally think it's cool. But anyway, let's get back on track of gaming. So gaming, the 2600X I have kind of slightly on top. It's a tie, but it's on top for a reason. So there's only pretty much 6 cores in that processor on 12 threads. Meanwhile, while the 2700X has that 8-core, 16 threads. So there's a little bit more overclocking capability in there. Now there is about a $110 difference between those two, and that's just for 4 cores and such. So or 2 cores actually, 2 cores and 4 threads. So I personally don't see the difference, and especially for gaming when they both have pretty much the same clock speeds. And of course, with the 2600X having a higher overclocking capability, that is why that one got put on top of the 2700X. Next up, we have something that may not necessarily be recognizable to everybody, the 7820X. Now you're going, what is this? Well, this is the Extreme Edition i7. Now this has 8 cores and 16 threads from Intel, and of course, it's got 3.6 gigahertz starting frequency and 4.3 boost, similar to what we would see in the AMD 2700X. Now, for performance, a reason why it's on there is just because I feel like, yes, it's outdated, and the price tag of 470 bucks, yes, it's an entry level to an X or the Extreme Edition kind of platform, but just keep in mind, that's a lot of money to fork out, and especially when all you're focused on is gaming, then, that's not really necessarily worth it. That's why it's kind of in the middle of the list. Now next up, I have the Intel 6700X, which is a couple generations old. I think it's Haswell, and it's 330 bucks, even more than the 7700X or 7700K, and the Intel 8700K is just 10 bucks away. So go for that, fam. That's why I'm not even gonna go over the specs. It's 4.0 base and 4.2 boost and useless. Next up, we have AMD's 1600 and 1800X. Of course, same situation with the AMD processors. The 1600X, or the 6-core 12-thread, is going to be easier to overclock, meaning higher clock speeds, and of course better for gaming. Now obviously these are slightly a bit older, and that's why they're kind of not on top, as well as the clock speeds necessarily not being as fast, the 0.3 gigahertz difference between the 2nd gen series, and so that's why they're down here. Now obviously they have a lot of cores, a lot of threads, a lot of longevity to them, and a lot of ability to upgrade farther down the line, but still, I mean, that platform is insane what they've done. I'm not trying to like prioritize one brand or another. I'm not really brand loyal, but I will say that AMD has done an amazing job with allowing a same socket to be used for multiple generations. While meanwhile Intel struggles with that. And I'm not hating on Intel. I'm just saying it's a fact. They struggle with it. So next up, the last two processors in this spot. Interesting. So the AMD 1900X, which is a Threadripper, and this is the 8-core 16 threads, which kind of funny around here. We have a lot of those. Is 3.8 starting frequency and 4.0 base frequency. Now you can overclock this up to 4.3 gigahertz, kind of putting it at a good position because 3.8 is on all cores, has a lot better performance overall, and of course, it just seems better. I mean, it would seem like it could be up on the top, but the reason why it's down here is because of the price. This is rocking in at pretty much the second place in the most expensive, and of course, this is an entry-level Threadripper, it's going to be expensive. So it's a $450 processor, and for gaming, you don't need it. I hate to break it to you. And finally on the list, we have the 1700X. Now this processor, let me just say that I'm not trying to say that this is a bad processor, but this is for gaming. And honestly, there's other processors I could have put in there as older Intels, but that just starts getting really too far out of date to really bother. And so I really feel like the 1700X offers at least a little bit more longevity, longer platform. The chips, the AMD socket, AM4 socket is a pretty good thing to upgrade. And of course, I mean, with $250, you can get something in between the 2700X and the 2600X with a lot more cores, and honestly it performs better in some multi-threaded tasks, and especially if gaming does decide to really go heavy multi-threaded, you're looking at an extremely good position to be in, especially with all those cores and powerful processing, I guess. But if you enjoyed this list, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you have a list that you'd like to see, for example, I don't know, best graphics cards right now, put that down in the comments below. Of course, check out my channel for other cool tech related things. And of course, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Goodbye.